Hey guys, and welcome to the Good Old Days podcast. Aww. This is Leah Byers, and today we have a very special guest, Dr. Susanne Reid. I never call you Susanne. I only ever call you Dr. Reid.
I know. You can call me Susanne.
I know, but it's so weird. I don't even think I could call my high school teachers by their first name.
No, that lasts a long time.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever change. How are you today?
I'm doing well.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, well, thank you for asking.
Well, first, I always ask a very simple question, so don't get nervous.
Okay.
What's your favorite drink? What's your drink of choice? It could be anything.
Oh my gosh, I am very simplistic on things. I have to admit, I absolutely like a Diet Coke, but not all the time. Like, I don't fixate on it.
There are some people who drink Diet Coke all day.
Yeah, I can't. I don't do that. I, of course, love my coffee in the morning at my house. It doesn't have to be Starbucks or anything like that. I just like good coffee with cream. And then probably my real drink of choice throughout the day is just like a sparkling water of some kind.
Water. That's good.
Yeah.
I feel like we always get sparkling water from Costco and it just goes so fast because I could drink only that all day.
Yeah.
Which, is that as hydrating as normal water? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope it is.
Yeah. I think really everyone hopes it is.
Because I too have gotten fixated on it since this Christmas.
Yeah.
My husband just happened to pick up a flat of those. I'm very picky. I don't like additives in things. Mm-hmm. You know, like the buy drinks or there's hints.
Oh yeah, I don't like the natural flavors.
I don't
just
like any of those.
You you don't like any flavor?
No.
So I
like it minimal as possible.
Like just the mineral sparkling water.
And this maybe it's new at Costco. A shout out to the Costco, of course. But it's just 3 flavors: lime, lemon, and grapefruit, and the taste is barely there.
Kirkland? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we get those.
Yeah,
those are good. Very simple.
So that's my favorite.
Oh yeah. Good choice. No one has said sparkling water, I don't think.
And definitely with ice.
Oh yeah, or cold at least.
Yes,
what are you, crazy? Lukewarm?
Maybe. Plus, I like the lemon and lime actual added to it of my own too.
Oh, okay.
So, I usually do that.
Yeah, that's a good one. A lot of people have said coffee. I mean, I feel like almost everyone has said coffee or Coke or Pepsi or something.
Yeah.
I would say sparkling water too.
Yeah, I love it.
I love matcha.
Matcha's good. I know you do. I see you with it, and other people. I'm thinking, I don't know. I need to try it.
It's a hit or miss. People usually don't like it.
I would like to try it.
It's its own unique taste, and I feel like most people do it because they drink it because they don't want coffee.
Oh, does it have caffeine in it?
Yeah, it does. Do you want me to tell you all the health benefits?
Sure.
I'm just kidding. Well, it's not it doesn't, I'll go off. No, it doesn't make you get hit by this, caffeine rush.
Gotcha.
It's more sustainable throughout the day. So you're not getting this coffee crash at the end of the day at 4 p.m., whatever time it is.
Oh, yeah.
Or even just a crash in general. It's just tapers off and you're just sustain. You have energy throughout the day. So
wow.
Drink your matcha. It has a lot of good benefits too. Just nutrients and whatever it is. Now I'm just making up things.
Now I'm going off.
It's good for you. It could be bad if you had a bunch of sugar in it. So, to each his own, but that's anything.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to try one sometime. Where's a good place to get that? Like Starbucks or better?
No.
Just off the road coffee
Have you
shop.
ever been to Coffee Nature? It's by Vanguard.
No.
Oh my gosh,
Nature?
it's right there. Coffee Nature, yeah.
Is it across the street? No.
No, it's on Bristol.
Bristol. By the camp and all that?
It's down further.
Okay.
Down further.
I'll have to try
almost to Irvine. To Bristol and Irvine.
Oh, wow.
So it's just this little, oh my gosh, it's so good. I love that place. I'm their biggest fan. I have the point system there. So then, I get free drinks eventually. Once I've spent $100. And then work in progress too has really good matcha.
Oh, I understand
They have a
that
mint
too.
matcha.
Oh,
mint matcha, which
I
is
like
really
a mint.
Good. So
I'll have to do that with work in progress.
You'll I don't know. Don't take it. It could be horrible too.
It might be,
Matcha's
but
hit or
I'd like
miss.
to try it one time. I haven't tried it yet.
Try it. I'll bring it to you next time I see you.
Oh, you're kidding.
There you go. Should have brought it today.
Oh,
we could go after.
You didn't even know.
Okay. Well, why don't you tell us a bit about what you're doing now, and then we'll work not backwards, but we'll go back to the good old days.
Well, I am definitely doing a lot of things that I love to do. And I think that for me is a key to life, is to love what you're doing, and that you feel in your own soul that the Lord is central to that. So that's probably that's your overarching theme. Yeah.
Okay.
So I teach full time. I'm a full professor, tenured at Vanguard University, just down the road from here, like 5 seconds maybe.
Yeah, it's not that far at all.
Right off the freeway. Yeah, right off the freeway. And my subject is music. I love everything about I do with teaching and being with students. So that's what really keeps me there.
Yeah.
The other part of what I do, which I don't really care for that much, is the administrative part of things. And it's just, I just would say it's not my bag, you know?
Yeah, well, you have the thing you're passionate about that you're doing that keeps you going.
Yeah,
you know?
So that's really what it is. It's a balance between frustrations with administrative things.
Literally you're running the department.
I don't want to.
You can say it.
I honestly don't want to. I've done this. I think right now I'm in, I don't know, probably year 7 or something like that, 7 or 8. Maybe it's even 9. I don't know. It's around there somewhere. And then before I came to Vanguard, I was at Cal Baptist, and I was chair there also for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I vowed I would never do the chair again.
Oh my gosh. Then you got sucked back into it.
So I got sucked back into it. I was at Vanguard like 10 years and didn't do any chair responsibilities. I had a little bit of responsibilities here and there for certain things, but not this. So definitely the last 4 years or so have been pretty heavy on all
And your official title is just chairman of the music department, right?
Yeah.
Fancy.
I know, fancy schmance.
Well, let's go back.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about your childhood. When were you born? Sorry.
Wow.
Gonna expose
really nasty now. Well, I was born the same year that Disneyland opened.
Oh.
So I always know how old I am according to Disneyland.
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
It's a cool fact. It's a very cool fact. 1955. Yep. And I was born in Oklahoma, a very, very, very small town. My parents were of very meager means. And
do you have any siblings?
I do. I have one older brother who's 6 years older than me, and he's still living.
It's a big gap.
Yeah.
Were you close to him when you were younger?
Yeah. Yeah, we're pretty close, I would say. We never really fought that much or anything like that because we were so far apart in age, and I just thought he was the best thing on the planet, so I would never do things to like irritate him, and it was just our relationship.
That's funny. That's the opposite of me.
Isn't that funny? No, I think it's just my general
I have an older brother
personality.
too, and it's like my childhood is when I think back, I'm like, we were just fighting all the time. Not verbally, physically, like just bullying your siblings, wrestling and all that. But that's nice. You had a good relationship with him.
A great relationship with him. So that probably set the tone. I'm just thinking about this right now with you. It's probably set the tone with how I perceive relationships too, because I feel like you should be able to work it out in a serene manner almost. So when things get kind of jagged and nasty with people, and it kind of is more irritating to me because I'm thinking,
where's the
need
peace?
To be
you
that
like
way.
Peace.
Yes, I'm a seeker of peace.
Yeah.
Because of that. Yeah.
And you, so what town did you grow up in?
Actually, well, my parents, so my brother's 6 years older, so they lived in this very small town, Okmulgee, Oklahoma.
Okmulgee?
Yeah, that's an
What
Indian,
a name.
Native American Indian chief
Wow,
name.
that's hard to
a lot
say.
of those towns are based on
okay.
Native American Indian tribes and names.
It was a very small town.
Very small. And then, so my mom was one of, I believe, 6 girls and then 2 boys. So a huge family, of course, during the 20s and the Great Depression.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So my mom was next youngest. So one of her older sisters had seen the light with her husband to move to this little place called Orange County to Santa Ana.
I wonder where that is.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
And to this place.
It probably was small when she moved.
Yeah, think of it, right? Because that was really, I was born in 55. And
that was when there were orange groves, probably.
There were tons, yeah. We always had fog growing up, driving around in certain seasons of time. Like my mom would be so afraid to just drive. You couldn't see anything for all the vegetation.
This was here?
here as a little girl, like in the 60s.
So you moved here
when I was like 3 or 4.
Oh, okay. So you don't remember Oklahoma?
No.
Oh,
no.
okay.
I mean, for college, I do.
So you're an Orange County gal.
I really am. I was born there for sure, but I was raised here.
Yeah.
So this is all I really know. And so the older sister moved here. Told my mom, the baby sister, it was a good life. There's many jobs out in California. So we were almost like grapes of wrath, loading up the pickup truck, making our way westward. And so we just, my parents were able to get here. And then my dad worked in Los Angeles it's called Lever Brothers, which is a type of thing like that makes soaps and butters and weird things like that. So he did that his whole career.
Like a office worker?
No, factory type. And then my mom stayed at home with my brother and I, and eventually started working for our church as a secretary. But really, I mean, no college education or anything like that. No education.
Where did you live in Orange County?
In Santa Ana.
Oh, in Santa Ana.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm a Santa Ana girl.
That's so cool.
I went to high school on Dyer Road at Saddleback High School.
Oh my gosh.
Down the street from here.
Right down the street.
Maybe 2 miles.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, I don't know. A lot of the people I've interviewed, actually, they do live where they grew up still. They stayed there, and granted, a lot of them were in California, and it's like, it's a nice place to live.
It's a nice place to live.
Although people are wanting to get out of here, but
yes, and they understand
but it is
that.
a nice place to live.
It is, yeah. I'm glad I'm still here. I love Orange County.
Yeah. So you moved here when you were 3, and then
around there, 3 or
went
4.
to school down the road. What was school like for you? Were you into school?
I would say, fine. Probably my biggest foundation was definitely going to church, because I grew up in the time where you went to church at least 3 times a week.
Really?
You went Sunday morning, Sunday night for sure.
Do you feel like everyone did that? Like that was just most people?
I think a lot of people. I don't know about most. But definitely not aware of other cultures and things like that. When I went to junior high, however, there's definitely a much larger African-American population and Hispanic population. So there was actually a lot of harassment of some African-American people towards me, like wanting to take my lunch money and things like this. I actually had to stand tall for myself and say, no, I'm not giving you my lunch money.
You get bullied a lot?
No, I wouldn't say a lot, but it was just kind of an interesting time because that was the same exact time that Martin Luther King was assassinated. And, of course, President Kennedy was assassinated when I was 8. So, I mean, I vividly remember those days like it was yesterday. Yeah.
Do you
and I was right here, Santa Ana.
Yeah. Do you remember, like, was that televised? That was televised, right?
Oh, yes, for sure.
Were you watching that? Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Like President Kennedy's funeral. I remember it vividly. I can almost tell you exactly how it went.
That's crazy.
Same thing with Martin Luther King Jr., of course, too. I was actually in 7th and 8th grade when he was assassinated. So that was
heavy time.
So heavy social time.
Yeah.
But I grew up in a multicultural kind of environment, so I didn't think that much of any of that. I thought we were all doing our same thing here.
Yeah, I thought this was it,
doing what I was doing. And definitely my parents were of definitely meager incomes. So that we didn't have like a bunch or something like that. And they did not have professional jobs. But that spurred me on to want to do something different for sure.
Did you have any passions when you were in middle school, or like were you doing music then?
No, that's when I got to do music was when I was in junior high. I think I was maybe in 6th grade or something like that. I was asking my mom for so long because our church was so small. I mean, maybe 20 people. And my mom was a founding member of this little mission church in Santa Ana. And she was always calling around to get a piano player for the service, and play the hymns and all this stuff. And she would call and call and call and call. And I was always telling her, well, I would love to take piano lessons. And she was like, well, we can't afford for you to take piano lessons. More or less buy a piano. I mean, that was just totally ridiculous,
Did they not have a piano at the church?
They did, but Yeah, I think at one point there was like a little pump organ. There was a lot of weird experiences back in the early days, but that definitely propelled me to really totally beg my mom for piano lessons. And so eventually, I think I was like maybe 6th grade, maybe 7th grade, they bought this $200 piano from a guy in Costa Mesa, all the way in Costa Mesa from San Antonio. It seemed far at the time.
Yeah. Now it's nothing.
Now it's nothing. But yeah, so it was this young man who had kind of tricked it out and all this kind of weird stuff. But anyway, so we were able to get that, put it in my parents' bedroom. That was super
$200 is a lot.
That was a lot back then.
Yeah.
Because you're talking like 67, 8, like that, you know. So my mom scraped the money together, and then I took piano lessons from the church pianist at one of the churches, actually, again, in Costa Mesa. I'm like determined.
On the other side of the world almost,
which was far. So she'd drive me there every Saturday morning, you know. But I really loved it, and I would practice for hours, just like the most simplistic things, like C, D, E, C, D,
That's the beginning of it.
I would just, that's the
beginning of it. I know what
beginning
song that is.
Yes, you do.
The first book. I've taught it 100 times.
A million times, yeah. So I would practice that like for hours, and then I would go I'd get over like to page 20, and I'd go back to page 1 and practice those all over again.
All the way through? Oh my gosh, you're like a teacher's dream.
Yes, I was.
I want my students to do that.
I was into it.
Yeah.
So, and then my aunt, who was, she's like in her 80s now, but she was also taking piano lessons too. And she's like, yeah, have you started to like think about playing the hymns? She just mentioned it to me because we were kind of at the same point. I go, what? I go, I can't play a hymn. She goes, well, you probably can. You can at least look at it. So she got the hymnal out, and she said,
like the 4-part ones?
The 4-part, of course. Yeah. I didn't know that was complex. And she said, well, what note is that right there? And I remember the song was Trust and Obey, a very old hymn. And what note is that there? I go, well, that's F. And she goes, isn't that the same F that's in these books over here? And I said, I guess so. And then I just got to look at that. I was
goes
like,
together.
Oh my gosh, they're the same notes.
Yeah.
Right. And so from there I started messing around with it, but I never, ever, ever played by ear. It was only totally
sheet music
by notes. Yeah. Yeah. So only lately in this modern worship age have I even started to think about playing by ear. So I have to practice all those songs. Which is hard. Yeah.
I feel like it either goes people are only by ear,
correct,
or only
by notes.
By notes.
Yep. So I try to make myself do the other because
that's hard.
Because it is hard.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't, it doesn't come naturally. It's a good thing that
people, I feel like I learned that when we were in harmony and form. One of the classes.
of music.
We started doing a lot of ear work. That's funny. Ear training.
Ear work. I like that.
Ear work. Ear training. Yeah. So that's cool though. Even at that young age, you were like, well, the fact that you grasped it quickly and you like wanted to do it, that's very rare.
I agree.
And those are, as a music teacher, those are the students you love because they begged to take piano, and you're like, okay, I know they're gonna practice. They begged for it
because a person is curious about it. They're not being made to do it. So the same thing with my own daughter too. Like she took some piano lessons, some flute lessons too, but I couldn't possibly make her do it. So the minute I thought she was wavering, so we have a really great relationship even to today too. I just say, do you like doing this? Not really. I go, okay. So quit right there because I just couldn't make her do something that I had such a passion for. And
whereas I wish my parents forced me to play piano. I'd be way better than I am now. I started when I was 6 and I just like stopped. And then I didn't play again until I went to Vanguard, basically. So I was like, you should have made me. But my mom was like, you could only try so hard to make a child want to do something.
She's totally right. Yeah.
So So you're in middle school. You just started playing piano, which follows you to this day.
It does.
And that's the beginning of your passion. Yeah. And did you do anything else, or was that like your thing?
That was totally my thing. I was never into athletics or anything like that. I wasn't really particularly good at it, but I also didn't have the opportunity as well. Like, I don't know. I didn't really have the opportunity to play soccer or baseball or something, beat softball, whatever.
Yeah.
So I was never into it for myself, for sure. Yeah.
Do you feel, did you have a lot of like friends when you were in middle school, or do you feel like you were an introvert, extrovert?
Oh, well, I would say my whole social life revolved around church. Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah. So it kind of didn't matter in a weird way if I had friends at school. It just didn't even occur to me that I always had friends here and there, you know, of course, through, especially more localized neighborish types of people. Yeah, for sure. I had local friends, but my true friends were from church. Yep.
That was your main
that was my
community.
Place. Yeah, that was my main community. I would say was church for sure.
Do you have any teachers in school that impacted you? That you still think of to this day? Or
yeah, I would say there probably were some there in elementary school. I don't remember anybody from junior high, which probably makes some sense. But high school, odd that you mentioned, I just had since you know my exact age, so I just had my 50-year high school reunion. So that was wild.
How many people were in your high school? Was it big?
There were, I believe, 400 in my class.
That's a good amount.
So it is a pretty good amount. And I guess a lot of people have died. It's like people stop tracking people after a certain age too, and you just hear, oh, so and so passed. I'm like, what? So
it's just like, that's a crazy.
It's just bizarre
thing to think about these people that you went to school with when you were in high school.
No, and I don't even know if I'm glad I went to that reunion. It was just kind of like a weird situation.
At a certain point, you're kind of like, do I need to go to, like, do I care to go to this?
No.
Especially if you didn't have a lot of friends in high school or
I mean, I did. I was a cheerleader, so I had those kinds of friends, and things like that. So that was pretty interesting. But I think there are only 3 of us cheerleaders left. And it was also very weird to talk about, like, your education, like who else had a doctorate. So it was like me and one other person. They're like, you have your doctorate?
And you were like, huh?
Yeah.
Should I be offended by that?
I know. I think so.
I think, yes.
Yeah, I definitely think so. They're like, wow. I mean, it's just...
That's so funny.
Bizarre.
How many people were at the reunion?
There weren't that many. I mean, there must have been 70, 50 to 70, like that.
Is it weird seeing people after that long?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Really crazy. But the 2 teachers that were there were because I was in
your
drill
teachers?
team, 2 of them.
Oh my gosh.
I was in drill team and then a cheerleader. So this drill instructor, Mrs. Ade, she was actually there. That was wild. But I never really cared for her. And, like I wasn't close to her or anything. She said she remembered me, but I was sure she did not. So it was fine.
You're like, they're lying.
And then the teacher I always do remember with very deep fondness, Mr. Ainley. He was like the Spanish teacher, and he was an amazing presence. And he was actually at that reunion. And of course, he's like sweet. 88 or 9 or whatever it is, and he didn't really remember anybody.
Yeah.
But everyone was saying exactly what I said, which was like, you really don't even realize the impact you made on my life then and make today. Like your kindness and your diligence towards people and your acceptance. I said that was huge.
Yeah. You think about all the teachers in your life and how, some make a really, really big impact on it. And you think about how they would even handle things and you need to appreciate your teachers, people.
Yes, people.
Appreciate your teachers.
Yeah, because you do learn
the ones
from
that
the
are
best.
good.
And you learn from the best and the worst. That's what I've noticed too. Certain things I never ever will do because I hated that in a particular teacher or 2 or 3.
Totally. Yeah. And then I like how you said that he had just a presence of goodness, Yeah. That shows a lot.
And I only went to public schools, so I don't even know the whole Christian school thing. I mean, although I teach at a Christian university now, but I only went to public schools. So that's really saying something. And you're also talking the tumultuous age of the 60s. And I graduated high school in 73. So all of that time was socially and culturally upheaval,
What was that like? What was going on?
Oh, all the things like, the assassinations, I don't know, all of the drugs, all of the true hippies of the time, and all the, of course, social and cultural revolutions, all of the marching against everything that there was.
Do you feel like then looks different from now?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because I always think all the things that are happening now, socially, politically, everything has happened throughout the decades. It's just whether during that time social media wasn't as present, so we weren't as aware of all of it, you know?
Yeah, that's so
true.
We only had TV.
Yeah, so it was so different. Whereas we're being constantly fed it now, so we think it's crazy. The world's like ending, But I think these things have been happening. We just didn't know.
Right. And
so
and I think we did know through TV, of course. And the newspaper, but we just didn't know as much for sure.
As constantly, you could turn off the TV, you could not look at the newspaper. Correct. But when you're on your phone all the time, just even on social media, you're seeing all of it. So
yeah, totally correct.
So do you think it's different or the same?
I think it's different in a lot of ways for the positive, for sure. So I can only imagine that probably what has happened since 2020, certain upheavals, I think that was maybe necessary, maybe good in its own way. I guess I'm one that I was raised in such a culturally diverse area, and I don't think any differently of my Black friends and my Hispanic friends and my Asian friends. They're all pretty even in my sight as far as I know.
Because of your upbringing.
Just because of my upbringing,
Yeah.
So I think it's just going to be a great day when there's no more firsts of things. Oh, this is the first Hispanic astronaut. Oh, this is the first, vice president. Oh, this is the first president. Like the minute you can stop saying that, that's just my own funny opinion, then I think it'd be a nice place,
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm like, where do I go from there? That was really good. I love that.
Because I'll hear it on TV again. This is the first, whatever. I'm like, okay.
You're almost like, I care, but I'm like I wish it wasn't just first. I wish there was more,
Yeah, and
it didn't have to be.
Yeah, and that people can be accepted for who they are and what they give to society without having to make such a big deal of it, because, as I mentioned already, that my family was of very meager means. I definitely didn't have any handouts in my life. So I had to work for what I have. So it's like, that's what you have to do. You have to work for what you want. That's it.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you're in high school, you're cheerleader, which you said you didn't do sports, which... You're like, I'm a cheerleader and I was on the drill whatever team.
Drill team, yeah.
So,
that was fun.
And that
That's
was
what I did, but
social. Yeah, you're like, whatever. It wasn't a big deal to you. Just a thing.
Could have been to other people, but
yeah. And so what does it look like towards the end of high school when you're thinking of what you want to do? And by then you've obviously been doing music for a while. It's a passion of yours.
Well, that's a very good question, because I got a good answer on that one.
Okay.
So I really, in high school, wanted to go to college for music. And then I had a bunch of negatives come in, which I definitely allowed to influence me. They're like, oh, music major?
Like
Are
people,
you
friends?
crazy? Yeah, you're crazy. Do you even know what you have to do as a music major? My brother majored in music. He had to blah, 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 blah. And like hearing those horror stories from several people, I was like, oh, I don't think I could do that. So I didn't. So that just wasn't God's plan. So I majored in English.
Yeah.
As my sister-in-law at the time, she had majored in English, and it seemed to be a good job to be a teacher of somehow, because I knew I liked teaching, because I had some experiences through church, so I knew I liked teaching. So I thought, well, I can do English, I guess. It was not a passion whatsoever, but I just kind of made it through,
Yeah.
And
where'd you go?
Actually, I went to Cal State Fullerton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I worked full time, and so I'd have to go to classes, 12 units a semester. So I would go Tuesday, 4 to 7, 7 to 10, like 2 individual classes, and then also Thursday, 4 to 7, 1 class, 7 to 10, 1 class.
And you were working during
in the day.
Ugh.
That was brutal. I look back on that and think, and I was going to church on Wednesday nights.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't even know how I survived it.
Yeah, you look back and you're like, how did I do that?
I don't even know how I did it, honestly. That was just God, though, in his own way.
Did you enjoy your major then? I mean, you said...
I did on a certain level. Not like, I wouldn't say passion or anything like that, but I definitely learned to read better, read more critically because you're stuck with all the reading, and also writing. Yeah. Because I wasn't necessarily a very good writer. So by the end of that, I was a pretty decent writer, which helped a lot. Yeah, because it helps me even now, too, in what I do. Yeah. So it's really based on that degree. You know, I thought it was kind of a wasted situation, but it really hasn't been. Yeah. I've used it a lot.
Yeah, true. There was a time where I thought, I don't know why I thought this. When I had finished my English class or whatever in community college, when I had written my last essay, I thought in my head, I was like, this is the last essay I'm going to write ever. I was so excited.
No.
And then I don't know why I thought that, but I was so excited about it. And then I realized right when I went to Marigold, I was like, why did I think I wasn't going to write another paper ever again? Because I thought English was the only place you wrote papers, but it's really not any subject you have to write papers. So,
well, and who knows, like your whole career too, because you don't know 100% what you're going to be doing, but you know, who knows? You
have to be a good writer, and it sucks when you hate writing, but you got to be good at it.
You got to do it.
Yeah. But, so then you graduated with an English degree.
Yeah, so that's like my 20s. So I was still involved in my church very much.
What's going on outside of school then? You know, you're at church. You're really involved in church.
Still very involved in church. Still working my work. I did some like office stuff. Okay. I taught like 3rd and 4th grade at a private Christian elementary school. I wasn't credentialed or anything like that. But
they were like, sure, well, you can teach.
Yeah. So it ended up that my church ended up kind of like, calling me to be like the youth and music director. So that's where things start to get like a little bit dicey because like I'm a female in a male world, especially at that time. Drama of the mama. Yeah. So, I mean, of course, the 70s was all about, women's liberation and things like that, which it never even occurred to me that much to think about it. But within the church setting, it's very different. And like even now, it's a weird situation with females. I don't see that it's progressed that much.
Yeah.
my opinion of it, and so I was the music and youth director. I couldn't be a minister or a pastor because I was female.
So they just changed the title.
But I was
loopholes.
Doing, loopholes everywhere. So I was doing the youth ministry because I'd been teaching elementary school, so I knew how to do curricular things. I mean, I learned a lot teaching elementary school for sure, and I knew I liked. You
probably learned a lot of patience.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so when I ended up getting into the church realm, then like for reals in the 80s, it was like, oh my gosh, all these conferences I go to, I'm one of the like 1 or 2 women. And the rest were all men. So I was thinking.
And you noticed that.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh gosh, yes. Yes. And I immediately felt inferior. Yeah, for sure. But God just used that to get me to do what I'm doing today. So I would be talking to these guys. Of course, I had my English degree. So I'd be talking to these guys and they'd be music ministers and they would have their bachelor's in music. And I was like, see, I should have gotten that bachelor's in music. Youth conferences. Oh, I got my master's in this. Blah, 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 blah. So I ended up getting like first, I think I did it first where I got like the master's, like Bible studies, because I was the youth director. I felt, first of all, I was a female. Second of all, I didn't go to Bible school. I didn't go to Christian school. So I got a master's in Bible. Silly stuff.
Where?
In LA. It was a private place. It doesn't even exist now. But
since you had your bachelor's, you could get your master's in that.
Yeah. That was easy to do. And so I had to drive to Glendale. It was really a nightmare.
How long was that? Was that 2 years?
It was 2 years.
2-year program. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was really a lot of work.
So it was just Bible or music too?
Just Bible too.
Oh, okay. Like theology.
theology, pastoral stuff. I had to write a thesis, the whole 9 yards. I had some really great, a graduate school, I guess they called themselves. They would hire in only like the best of the local area, LA, Orange County, I guess anywhere Southwest, the better minds, I guess you would say, better minds. So this guy named Dr. Malik, he was literally from Egypt, and he has doctorate from Princeton. And so like he was my teacher for like most of my classes because I keep teaching his classes, but he was just so intelligent. And
just someone you just want to like learn everything from.
Just breathing. How does he breathe? He was just like he's really
something about the way he breathes. It's better than me.
Oh my gosh. I wish I could take classes right now from him. I totally would. I mean, just
there are some teachers at Vanguard I could say the same thing about.
Oh, yeah. You know? It's just so good. Yeah. So a lot of my...
So intelligent, so wise. You're so like, wise, so much life you've lived and learned from, you know? Oh,
yeah, beyond just the textbook, of course, and things like that. So that was an amazing experience. So I'm still glad that I did that to this day, because it's definitely, it again, it just kind of fuels you into what you're doing. So whatever I want to say about a devotional idea or something like that generally comes out of my pastor, who is my pastor, exegetical pastor, which means you teach like word by word through the Bible. So that's my basic pastor I grew up with. I learned a lot from him, obviously, and then this Dr. Malik too.
Yeah. So you get your master's.
Yep. In that.
Just to spite
just to kind of just to, I guess I had to like prove out to myself more than anything that I was smart enough, good enough, and by golly, I can do this too. No one was saying anything to me about it, like, oh, no one was doing that. Yeah. But I felt like I was to myself going, oh, and like, who are you really with all of this? You know, you can't even, as a female, at least at the time, maybe it's different now, but I couldn't even say, oh, I'm just so called to do this, because that didn't really matter.
Yeah.
You know, so I had to make it up, and a part of making it up was seeking knowledge and maybe just seeking these degrees to make me feel better about myself, to have the confidence to go on and do something. Yeah. So that's what ended up happening. So after I did that, then I just keep going. I just kept going. Yeah. And I thought, well, now I got to do the music thing, because I just got to, buck up and go to Fullerton and see like what can happen. So I found out right away that since I already had a BA, Bachelor of Arts in English, I could not get a BA in music. So the second letter had to be different. Oh. So I had to get the Bachelor's of Music.
Okay, BM.
Yeah. So I just chose voice performance. I didn't really know anything about it. Yeah.
You're like, I'll just sing.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that with piano?
No, because I knew that I didn't have the piano chops for that. Because I couldn't play necessarily like Beethoven and not even just Beethoven, but just all the more advanced like 19th century things. Yeah. There's no way I could have done that. Like maybe I could have, but I had to be too sequestered and just that's a solitary life.
Yeah. That's a lot of practice and
I'm not that type.
Dedication. And at that point, how old are you? When you're going for the BM?
29.
29.
Yeah, so I'm in starting my 30s.
Yeah. So that's a whole another time in your life. You've gone through your 20s. Yeah. Did anything significant happen in your 20s? Besides all the education you did?
Well, that was just a lot right there. Yeah. No, it was a lot. So different people in and out. But the thing that really definitely kept me going was the Lord. I mean, I felt his presence in all of these things that I was doing, accomplishing, whatever that means. And that was, I don't know, that was just my path, I guess.
Were you you're basically in school all of your 20s then?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you finished your BM at 29 or you started it?
I think 9. Yeah, started it. Yeah.
Yeah. So for anyone who thinks that they can't, you can start anything at any moment in your life. I feel like people think they need to get things done in their 20s, and it's like you have the rest of your life to work your career, literally the rest of your life. So figure out what you actually want to do, and definitely get the education for it if it needs that.
Yeah, so. Because it's just there waiting for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So you start your BM, you finish it.
Yep. And then in that degree at the end, because junior, senior year, you're doing more, you know, specialized classes for voice performance. I took the vocal pedagogy class, which is how you teach voice, right?
That's my favorite one.
And ours was a year long, which was really fantastic. So, yeah. So then I started teaching some voice lessons. I thought, oh, this is really cool. Maybe I could be a voice teacher at a college. But all the time, I'm still in my church, still as much as I ever was, even as a child. Same thing, you know. So, and my pastor was all for me doing this education. And he says, we'll work out your schedule. Don't worry about that part. You just do that. You're still with us full time. We're just going to benefit by what you're learning.
That's cool.
Yeah. So he was amazing.
That gave you an extra boost.
Yeah, it does. Because you just know you kind of have the odd blessing, I guess, to, if you're going to do it, you know. He goes, there's no time like the present, do it.
So did you start vocal teaching then?
Yeah, I started teaching some lessons as a result of vocal pedagogy because we had to teach a person. And then Cal State Fullerton, because that's where I was for my bachelor's and master's in music. So they were like, well, you can take on a few students of kind of like students that the full-time teachers didn't really want to teach. So taught some of them. So that was wild.
Yeah.
And then I thought there at the end, that vocal pedagogy, I got to keep on. If I want to teach at the college level like an idiot, then I have to keep going with my master's. So I just kept going.
So this is your second, well, you've done 2 bachelors, then second master's.
Yep. My family's like, why do you keep doing this? I go, I don't know. I guess I'm not done. There's no answer.
Don't feel done yet.
There's no answer to it.
Yeah.
I don't think I should have to give an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't like putting anybody in debt, or I wasn't living on the side of the road, just going to school. I mean,
were you getting scholarships?
No.
Or
no.
Were you paying for it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I'm curious what the total amount was at the end. Do you know the total amount?
Like, no, I don't know. But like Cal State Fullerton was like very reasonable at the time. Like maybe you could take 12 units for like $300. Ugh, you know, it's just a very different season of time. And my books would be like $400. So that would kind of kill me out.
More than tuition. That's crazy.
Yeah. So that really just says a lot right there. And even my master's wasn't that much more. And then so I'm getting done with that, and I'm like, oh, I got to do my doctorate. But I did not want to go to USC because I thought I would just be a little fish in a ginormous pond, even though I was accepted and all that stuff. But I always wanted to go to Oklahoma, believe it or not.
Oklahoma has a great music program.
Yeah,
they do.
Yeah.
Which is what I thought about, right? When you said Oklahoma, I was like, oh, the university has a great music program.
Is amazing.
But yeah. So you went back.
So I went there, and I had a cousin that lives in this Oklahoma City, so he went there too for his law degree, and although he's older than me by 15 years, but he had a great reputation. I thought, well, maybe I'll get to do other performances I couldn't do in LA. Yeah. So
and then you got your doctorate in what specifically?
Yeah, so it's a doctorate of musical arts, so in voice performance. So all of those degrees in bachelor's in music, master's in music, DMA, that's all voice performance, and
that was all streamlined.
Because I kind of went one right after the other. And then I was so blessed that at Oklahoma I got to pay in-state tuition. Again, that was only like $500 a semester.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I'm saying. Like I did pay cash because I could pay cash, and my mom was of course helping me too.
So much easier to get an education, like just affordability in general.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah. And I was teaching for OU, so I taught private voice, class voice, and I also taught a music appreciation class.
Okay.
So I had a graduate assistantship, so I paid in-state tuition. I taught for them. Of course, I taught at a private studio, too. I taught some of my own students, so I'm still at church, too. A church back there, which, but I wasn't getting paid. That was fine, too. But just God worked out so many itty-bitty details, and
music all around,
and nothing makes me happier. Except I really like art too. But
do you teach an art class?
I do
art appreciation.
Art appreciation. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
And so by now, how old are you
today?
No, sorry. In our story.
Oh, okay, in the story
today.
I'm like, oh, how old am I? No, I don't. Yeah. So there, I'm like, so I got my doctorate totally done, all the dissertation, all the things, final recital. I graduated in the year 2000.
Okay.
So in the year 1994, I got married to my hubs.
How'd you meet him?
Church, of course. Couldn't be
course.
any other way.
How did you meet anyone?
I know, exactly.
Is this in Oklahoma or this
no,
is
it's
in...
actually out here.
Oh, okay.
Back out here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew him at my church before I went to Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
And so when I would come back, I would see him. And
did
stuff.
he
like,
grow up in the church like you did? Or no?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But not this exact church here. No, but in Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he started attending your church.
Yeah,
and then
because he's a rocket scientist with Boeing, and so he...
You say that so casually.
I know. Yes, it's a burden.
He's literally a rocket scientist.
He is. He really is. It's a lot. I mean, he's just so smart and all the things. I mean, he's just...
Well, you guys probably match each other well with all your education.
Yeah, for sure.
He just has a completely different side of the brain, basically.
Yeah, that's
left
why
brain,
it's a lot.
right brain.
Yeah. We're like blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
We make one brain.
We make one brain together. That's right. That's why it's a great relationship because of that. Yeah, for sure.
So you met him in
out here, just hither and yon at church, back and forth, and then I came back in 90. What year was that? Maybe 93 or something, and. My friends from Oklahoma wanted to go to Disneyland out here with me because they were living in Texas, which is where they live now in Waco, Texas. And they're still my best friends. And so they said, we want to go to California and go to Disneyland. I'm like, I can't really go just by myself with them to Disneyland. That seemed weird. So I think I'll just ask Phil Reid because I'm sure he could afford to go to Disneyland for one day because even back then it was expensive. So I called him up. I said,
It was expensive?
Yes, it was expensive. I mean, still comparatively. Comparatively, you just didn't just go. You said still a lot at the time. Or seemingly, maybe it's just because I was getting out of grad school. I don't know. It seemed like a lot. So I said, could you go? Yeah, I could probably go. Yeah, I can go. And that's how it all happened is Disneyland. I asked him out.
Yeah.
I thought, well, he's single. He's got money. He can go to Disneyland. He's like, that'd be cool. Yeah. And then just on that little trip, I was like, oh, he's actually a really cool guy.
Yeah. Was he a rocket scientist then?
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah.
That gives
Plus,
him
I knew
props.
him from before, so I knew he was a great guy.
Yeah.
Which he continues to be too. So yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So that was the early 2000s. So I finished my doctorate. I was already teaching though, because I had moved back out in 94. I moved back out here I got married to Phil, and I got a job immediately at California Baptist University. Full time.
Well, with all those degrees, they're like, this woman has however 5 degrees.
Oh, so I was a voice teacher for them, and then I was appointed chair like in the first 3 months. They're like, oh yeah, well, you're going to be chair. And I go, I don't know how to be chair. No, you're going to be chair. And so the person whose place I took, it was very complicated. It actually created a very sad situation. So that was just, that was a crazy situation. But
just because of the
tension,
Yeah, conflict.
Yeah. So that was 10 years of that at Cal Baptist. And
what years was that?
Where's that? I think it's 1994. So I got married that June, and I started there in August. And 94 to 2003. Yeah, so 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And then what do you do after that? You're there for 10 years?
Well, all that time I was, of course, happy in the experience because I'm not going to let myself be sad. But it was a lot, and I had my baby in 1996. So she was getting to be 6-7 years old. It's like I cannot keep driving from Orange County to Riverside. Yeah, drop off my baby at 7 o'clock in the morning, then pick up my baby at 6 p.m.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot.
So anyway, it was just a lot on that part, and just so blessed that Vanguard had an opening, Yeah. And so.
And that's when you applied for Vanguard?
I applied, and by golly, I was hired.
So how long have you been working at Vanguard?
20 years.
Oh my gosh.
So that was 10 years there, 20 years here now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. I know. It was just so great. I feel like I always told the person who actually hired me, who is no longer at Vanguard, but I always told him, thank you for rescuing me out of Cal Baptist. There's no perfect situation in the world that does not exist. Mm-hmm. And I would have made the best of it, but the driving was kind of killing me out. So
I couldn't imagine driving that far every day. I mean, I have to drive everywhere for teaching, and I hate it. But driving an hour, it's like an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. Well, traffic is probably more. Well, who knows?
I feel it was pretty bad back then. Yeah. Even back then, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
So that was my life doing that. So then coming here, I definitely got rescued. I definitely liked the environment more just in general, too. Mm-hmm. So it worked out absolutely to my favor. Mm-hmm. So God again was generous. Mm-hmm. And that's very precious the way he worked all these things out. You couldn't plan a life like this. Yeah. You couldn't plan for that. Mm-hmm. But I was diligent in what I was doing and felt like he was in everything I was doing.
Yeah. How was it like when you first came to Vanguard? You were just teaching, right?
Yeah. That was lovely.
What were you teaching? You're like, back then it was great.
Yeah, I was teaching music history and the arts course, which I loved because I taught that at Oklahoma too. So I already knew how to teach that, of course. I taught it almost the exact same way at Oklahoma, which is the way they had it structured at Vanguard, which was weird, like art and music in time, Mm-hmm. So that was fantastic. And then music history, I had to prep all that because I never really taught music history before, but I loved it. So that was not a problem to study for it. But it's just a lot of work.
And then once you do that, though, you have it kind of set, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's just my brain. I just don't feel like I know enough on every subject. So I'm always constantly.
Oh my gosh.
Even now.
Taking your classes, you know a lot.
I feel like I don't know anything still.
Like so much information in the best way. Not in a bad way. In the best way.
It's a lot. It's a lot to take on. It's a lot to, I don't know. I guess that's just probably just how I feel about most things. Mm-hmm. I feel like I don't really know that much. So I'm constantly trying to learn more, or how can I explain it better, or what device can I use to help people learn it better, or to see that it's interesting when I know it's not interesting to most people.
Yeah, that's what a teacher does, trying to make it, sometimes more interesting than it is, even when the teacher knows I know this isn't really fun, but you need to know this.
Especially like the early music stuff is so boring, I know, but it's actually super fascinating.
I know. Well, we nerd out about it.
Yes.
You mean early music, like history? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Well, it's super interesting.
Yeah. I think it is.
Yeah. Well, we like music, so of course it's interesting to us.
Yeah, that's right.
So where you are today.
Wow. That was quick.
I know. You just went through your whole life. Of course, there are the in-betweens, and we never get through, every detail. No,
not possible.
But what are you doing now? We kind of said that at the beginning, but what are you doing now, and what are your plans for the future?
That's an excellent question. Well, now, I still love my teaching. That still is what keeps me excited to go to Vanguard every day, for sure. I love all my classes. I love teaching voice again. I had a whole period of time there, especially with being chair, that I just didn't teach that many voice lessons because it's just a lot, as you know,
administrative stuff,
to make up lessons. So
story of my life.
Oh, it is a story of your life. And there's so many weird meetings that come up as the chair of the department that I'd have to cancel lessons, and I just never really, I don't have time to make those up. It's just the truth of it,
Yeah. With your position.
So now I'm doing way more voice teaching because one of our fine teachers went to another university, but I'm working it out, so I can make sure that all stays going okay for the time being. But so all of that is great. I'm enjoying studying again. One of my disappointments is so many of my books were stolen from my voice studio, and it's just I'm having to repurchase.
Wait, when?
Over time.
Oh.
Over time, yeah.
And At the school?
At the school, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's just over time, someone will borrow a book and they just don't put it back. And not only like my music books, like arias for soprano or whatever, but also my study books that I can't even replace now, like French song literature, German arts song,
that you wouldn't
opera
be able
literature.
to find it.
That don't even exist now. But one of my friends in Arizona said that he'd be happy to give me some of these books, that he has the same books and he's not teaching at the college level.
Nice.
And he gave me all these pictures, and I saw like probably 20 books that he said he can bring to me next year or whatever. So I was like, okay.
Well, to give everyone a visual, when I first came into your office for my first initial meeting going to Vanguard, in the entire wall behind you had books like stacked to the brim. Like, I'm pretty sure the shelves were bowed or like dipped down from how heavy, and they weren't like small books, like they were thick hardcover huge books. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And that wasn't even, and I'm pretty sure I maybe made a comment and you're like, oh, this isn't even like all of it. I was what? That's crazy.
I know. But now, since so many things are online, because I was living in the life of no online presence, of course, at all. That only happened in my dissertation era. Even then, there was hardly anything online. So I'd have to go and get books, interlibrary loan, or I went to UCI for those books, or UC Riverside or whatever, and actually still had to have the books to make my dissertation come to pass.
So different now. It's like just you could get it. We just use the internet. It's so easy.
I know. That's why I don't want to hear it when certain students say certain things. Like, oh no, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
No. Certain things are just like no, because I did it the hard way.
Yeah.
And it's so easy now. I don't really want to hear it. I don't.
Oh my gosh, hearing about even Dr. Reno, who's the musician or theory teacher, how he had to write his orchestra whatever on full sheet music. He had to like erase it and on the paper. Now we could just do it on a fancy app on your computer, and it'll play it back for you. People are lazy these days.
Very lazy, and that is irritating. That's probably the one thing that there's definitely a gap.
Yeah. So what are your plans for the future?
Oh, the future. Okay. So my husband and I just got out of last week or week before, whenever it was, like a planning for the future kind of thing, because obviously I am of an age to retire. I don't necessarily want to yet, but what we were telling this lady who's helping us out, I just want to know, like, when would it be feasible or possible to retire, just so I know what it is for my own mind. I'm not going to go out telling everybody, well, I'm going to definitely, retire in 2 years. I'm not going to say that.
Yeah,
that's
like
not
set a timeline.
No, because I don't know what God would have me to do. Maybe it'd be tomorrow. I don't know. Yeah. It could be that too.
I don't think you could just throw that at Vanguard.
Yeah, tomorrow. It does sound kind of good. I ain't gonna lie. But no. So we just recently got a 5-year plan approved for our music department. So this is year 1. So I don't see myself letting go of all of that until that's very well solidified that it's going to happen. And that's at least 3 or 4 years out there. So and then, of course, if my health holds up, I mean, I am healthy, all the things. But in retirement, I was just telling her that I would just, of course, continue to teach voice lessons. And because
that's a passion of yours. You enjoy that.
Yeah, I totally enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. And then since I've gone to Bowers Museum with my classes several times, I've had a couple of people come up to me and give me the brochure to sign up to be a docent, which, I mean, you would walk people around Bowers Museum explaining the different works of art and things like
cool.
that. So I would like to do that for sure. You would love that. I would love to do that too. So between
I'd go
teaching,
on a tour with you.
Yeah, thanks. I got one. Don't worry about it. But that would be, I would love doing that. So I would, that's what I would like to do. And of course, still do stuff with my church as is appropriate. But doing those kinds of things, I think, is satisfying. I could still see myself doing it and have a lovely life outside of all of this. Yeah.
I feel like it's a little bit different, like thinking of retirement. when you are doing something you're really passionate about. People who work in an office. Yeah. I don't know, unless you're really passionate about that. I don't know. Yeah. Don't want to offend anyone out there. But you're kind of like looking forward to retirement. Whereas when it comes to music or art, it's kind of something that you always do. Yeah. Like even when you do fully retire, you'll probably still be playing piano, obviously. And
I think
appreciating art and doing those things you're passionate about. Just not getting paid for them.
Yeah.
A little different.
Yeah, we'll be a little bit different for sure. But definitely I can, at least I can see how some of the puzzle pieces could work together for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, do you have any advice for people
probably
hopefully
every old person has advice.
Well, what would you tell your younger self, what would be something you wish you heard, because there could be someone who needs to hear that?
Well, I at the core of all those, because you took me on a whole roadmap of my life, and it sounds kind of crazy when I talk about it. Yeah. Even now I'm like, whoosh, that was a crazy way to go. But at the core of that, definitely my relationship with the Lord is supreme. He is definitely the one that has led me in all of those weird paths. Maybe he didn't say, Susanne, do that degree, but I still understood his presence to be real. And how it worked out was maybe it's because I am a cuspy kind of baby boomer person, that the idea of pursuing education to get you to a different place just made sense. Yeah. So it wasn't something like, oh, what should I do today? If I just thinking about it, I thought, well, if I do this kind of degree, then that means I'll be able to do X. So
it'll get me to where I want to be.
Yeah, it'll get me there. And
did you ever get overwhelmed thinking about like all the work that you would have to do, or just the? No. Were you looking more at the process or the finish line of your degrees? Like I'll finish my degree so I can do this, or I'm excited for the degree path adventure of learning. Yeah,
at the beginning, like probably the BA in English, that was probably more just kind of, let's just get through this, because I think a lot of people think of your first degree like that, just get it done. Yeah. But then when I did that master's in Bible in LA, that was an eye opener, because it made me be a more curious person. I would say when I was doing my BA in English, I wasn't that curious. I was still in high school mode, just doing a class, blah, 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 but I wasn't necessarily curious about learning. So, and maybe, I don't know, maybe that's because I wasn't one of those mentally gifted minor people, like I would just get like a good B or B plus, I wasn't necessarily an outstanding student really, but once I did that master's, it was kind of a bit of a kickoff for, wow, that's interesting. And I think I learned how to study because I wanted to learn probably in that degree the most. Yeah. And then when I really went to Cal State Fullerton for this whole music degree situation, and my eyes were just like opened. So I would just say, don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your dreams. There's always, I think there must always be some kind of path to be successful in that dream. But it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Nothing that I did was easy, you know, because I always worked while I went to school.
Hearing about it, it's like we just say, you're just like saying, I got my degree, I did it. And you're like, no, it was actually hard. It was actually hard to do. And you were working and you were doing a lot. So it's not easy. It takes time.
It's not easy and it takes time. That's a wonderful way to put it. Because in the end, it's well worth it. Because then you have something that you look at life very different. I feel like I look at life very differently now in certain ways. Yeah. Just because I don't know, I guess I know what I know. I know I still have a lot to learn. I'm eager to learn. Like I'm on a crazy committee at Vanguard right now. They're totally talking about stuff. I actually don't even know what they're talking about sometimes, to be honest, and it's stuff that I'm not the least bit interested in. more having to do with the business side of things.
Yeah.
And that's just not any kind of gifting that I have. So I sit there, and so I even had to confess to the provost. I said, this is not my bag at all. I like to comment on places where I think maybe things are missing from a different point of view. He goes, oh, that's exactly why you're here, though.
Yeah.
I go, oh.
You're like, oh, why didn't you tell me that?
Yeah.
I've been confused this whole time.
Yeah, because I was thinking, why am I here spending all these hours on this committee? But then I do usually have something to contribute. But it's not going to be like percentages or KPIs or this and that and the other thing. I'm just not into that businessy kind of thing. But
it's going to give new perspective.
But a different perspective and a different kind of wisdom. I think I might have that. I hope I do.
Yeah.
And then that's enough,
Yeah. Well, that's good advice. I think people just looking at your education. I mean, it's funny because we interviewed my dad, and my dad didn't further his education from high school. And because he didn't go to school, he was like, he told people go out and see the world. That's a great education for you.
Because it is. Because it is.
So it's just funny. It's different perspectives for people who have had different paths in life.
Yeah.
So.
But I would also say going out, just don't sit and watch Netflix and be on your phone all the time. Go
That's
out
what my dad said.
Do something.
He said do something, literally.
I agree with that completely. Or I've been very blessed to go to Europe, multiple times, and I wish I had lived there for a while. That's really my only...
Go live somewhere else.
That's my only regret is I didn't go and live in Europe for a while, a year or two, because I love Europe.
That's what people say a lot. I wish I had lived somewhere else, like in another country or something, just for a year or two, just to experience culture. Yeah. So that's good.
Yep. So even within my... there's a lot more elements to it, of course, but being aware of the world, being aware of people. Yeah. Trying to see their side of things, trying to be an empathetic person. Yeah. That's probably the most important thing, because that's also in line with what Christ does. Yeah. He sees us for the good we can be.
Our culture lacks a lot of empathy.
Oh, yeah.
We need that.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, thank you so much for coming, Susanne. Yes. Doctor. Yes. Doctor of many doctorates. No, just one doctorate.
Just one, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming. Thanks for your advice. I'm excited to re-listen to this when we're done. I know everyone's like, oh gosh, I'm scared to hear myself, but you did great. Thank you so much. And for everyone listening, make sure you subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and to rate and review. I got to do all the plugs, at the end.
Yes, that's
gotta
how
get
it
all
gets
the plugs.
done.
And we'll see you next week for our next guest.
Yay.
Thanks, guys. Bye.